Hello, wonderful. This is Sarah, and I'm here with Tabitha Sweeney. And get ready for it. You guys talk to me about this all the time on the phone or in the Wonderwoman group, and it is body image. And when I've done executive leadership trainings and everything else, any training for women, it seems like comes back to this topic. How are you, Tabitha?
I'm good, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me.
Excited to talk to you. And you said this has been your lifelong passion, the body image issue. Can you tell us why?
It has been, it is. And it's kind of evolved over time. So way back in the day, before I was known as mom to these little people, I was a personal trainer in the fitness world. Mm-hmm. And way back then, if you had asked me if I felt like my self-worth was tied to my body image, I would have been like, no way. Like, I'm confident in who I am. Mm-hmm. And then I got pregnant and my entire body changed. Mm-hmm. And I realized how tightly my self-image was tied to my body. And so it really started this whole path of my own healing journey. Mm-hmm. And then taking my clients along with me. So then I immediately changed. I opened a new studio. I changed all of the philosophies that we are not working out for weight loss anymore. Because what I realized was, if I was worthy 8 months ago, what makes me not worthy now because I had a baby and my body changed? Like, I just grew a human. Mm-hmm. And so it really, it started me in a whole new light, on a whole new journey of helping women. And
what percentage of women, just rough estimate, would you say struggle with this? Is it pretty high amount? Is it pretty low amount? What do you think?
In my opinion, just about almost everyone.
Mm-hmm. And I think I agree. And I think that's an important thing to note, because we can get isolated in our shame of like, I'm the only one worried about what my butt looks like in these jeans. I'm the only one nervous, right? So it's helpful to know that it's more common than we probably think.
It is so common. And I think it ebbs and flows, as does everything in life. There are points and times when our body image really holds us back from living. And there are times that we're doing well. But even what I have found is, even people and women who are influencers on Instagram and are all over social media, when I start really talking with them, many of them aren't actually all that confident in themselves and their body image. And that when that first started happening, it blew my mind. Like, you're posting pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, but you're actually not that, you're worried, you're not that confident.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's so true.
Well, I saw a show recently with Nicole Kidman, and she's just obviously one of the most beautiful women that have ever existed. And you could tell she'd had a lot of work done. And I was kind of like, whoa, like, she's so beautiful. And obviously she has a ton of pressure to keep up her face and, keep up with that. But I think it's also important to note that no matter what people look like, they still feel like they should be more or look different or do something different.
I think that's such a great point, because I truly think that we are brought up with this belief that we are chasing this perfect body, this perfect image. And the reality is, she doesn't exist anywhere. Mm-hmm. We, as lowly, not celebrities, are holding ourselves to the standard that they show us. But what we see is not actually real either, because there are Spanx underneath that dress. There has been doctors. There is a whole team of people getting them ready for their photo shoot or to walk down the red carpet. Mm-hmm. And that their body is their job. Mm-hmm. So if my body is not my job and I don't have that much money, then how in the world will I ever meet that?
What? You don't have as much money as Nicole Kidman? What? What's going on with you, Tabitha?
Someday.
So what's the first step as you help women walk through this process? If I'm someone who's like, oh my gosh, like maybe I'm back into dating, I'm back into like I feel like I'm competing against like 2-year-olds. Like what advice do you have for those people?
So the first advice I have is recognizing and really becoming ultra aware of societal pressures.
Mm-hmm.
I walk all of my women through to very first get started. I walk them through an ego versus heart exercise. So basically, this is for all the women who walk into my studio and they say they want to lose 20 pounds. Mm-hmm. And what I want to know is, do you really want to lose 20 pounds? Or do you really just want to feel as good as you think you would feel after you lost those 20 pounds?
So when I work with people, I ask the question, what problem are you really trying to solve? Which is what you just described. Yes, it's not that they really want, because they don't want to feel like this and be 20 pounds lighter. They want to feel better.
Right. And what most people don't realize is that losing weight does not fix a negative body image. Mm-hmm. The two are not related at all. So the first thing I do is really walk them through an exercise to ask, like, is your weight actually, is your body physically holding you back from living the life you want to live? Mm-hmm. Is your body, are you willing, ready, and able to put the work in and make the changes that you need to make? Or do you just feel like you are supposed to say, I want to lose 10 pounds, because that is universally what is accepted to say, right? Like nobody's allowed to just say, I feel good at this size 10.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to be an acceptable feeling.
Right.
So my job is to help you realize you're not broken and you're worth loving. So when we start really becoming ultra aware of the way society is pressuring us and telling us what we're supposed to want, mm-hmm. then all of a sudden we're like, whoa, that's not what I really want though.
Yeah.
And our eyes start opening up. And when you start paying attention to the societal pressures, man, there is so much subliminal messaging that we don't even realize. We start talking about who loses money if you feel good about yourself today.
So I talk about that with self-care, and it's like, oh, self-care, like the beauty industry has taken over self-care. And it's like, oh, I'm self-caring. I'm buying makeup. I'm getting my hair done. I'm getting my nails done, which there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But it's like, what if self-care was like finishing your taxes? Right? Yeah, taking a nap. Yeah, like all kinds of things. Yeah. Goal setting. It could be anything that does not involve buying mascara.
Yeah, like every single thing that we call self-care costs money. Mm-hmm. There's somebody to lose. If we as women stop thinking we are broken and that we are just okay the way we are, mm-hmm. there is a whole lot of companies going bankrupt. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
wow, you're worth it.
Yes.
Right? Like if you feel like you're a worthy person, you should buy our product. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
wild.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I remember when I had a client who, and this is, I think, what really started the ball rolling. I had just given birth and I desperately missed training, but I didn't feel like I should be back in the gym training people because my body was not that of a trainer yet. Right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I had a client who called me and really pushed me. She's like, I really miss you. I've been looking for other gyms, but every trainer wants to know what I'm willing to do to get my body back. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I don't want my body back. I was a D1 swimmer. Now I'm a 30-something-year-old mom. Mm-hmm. I just want to feel okay.
Yeah.
And like this light bulb went off for me, like, whoa, it's okay to move, to exercise just to feel better. Mm-hmm. And that not to feel guilty when you eat and not to meal prep for 18 hours a week and all of those things that we have normalized that really break us down, because if we don't feel that, if we don't do them, we're not worthy of it.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. So the ego versus heart, tell us more about that. Is it like an eagle-eye view? Like what does that mean exactly?
Ego
Ego.
versus
Oh, I thought you said eagle. Okay. So your ego versus heart. Got it. Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
ego is what I compare to your society pressures.
Sure.
Those are all the things outside telling you that you're supposed to want to lose weight. You are supposed to want to be this. You should want to be smaller. If you're not trying to be smaller, then what are you doing with your life? Yeah. And your heart is the thing that's saying, I need a nap. Just give me the pizza, right? Like it's saying, take your kids out for ice cream and let them see you eat it. Mm-hmm. Because the reality is, and Sarah, I'm not sure if you have children, but
yes.
My life, I'm not on the same time frame I had before. I mean, back when before kids, I did spend 2.5 hours a day at the gym. Mm-hmm. I had nothing else to do. No one needed me. Like, mm-hmm. And the meals I used to eat, my 5 and 7-year-old are not going to eat now. Like, mm-hmm. That's odd. Like, so I think that's such a really important thing, is that our lives change. And as our lives change, our bodies change, and we are just all holding ourselves to this insane version of a woman who doesn't exist. Mm-hmm.
Because usually we don't even pick like one woman. It's like, okay, I want her smile and her job and her boobs and her butt. Like, it's like, we can't even find like somebody we're pleased with that we would like take her whole package. Right?
No, you know what the craziest thing is when we do see somebody who we're like, all right, I would take that. If you mm-hmm. went and asked her, she's going to trade half of these things in for someone else's things, right?
Yeah.
So we all have to like stay in our lane. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things I've noticed with my clients that comes up is in marriage, right? Like they're so worried about what their spouse thinks and about how they feel, you know, when it's time to be intimate and stuff. And I always have to remind them, like, he doesn't care. Mm-hmm. He does not care. I can promise you that, ladies. Like, he's not thinking about anyone else or anything else. He wants you to be happy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's a lot of studies. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of them, but if our listeners aren't, that females are actually much more harsh on females' bodies than males are. We kind of put that pressure on them, but surveys are showing something different, right?
Oh, females are harsh on everything. Like, mm-hmm. Right? No one can make more judgments than a woman. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And I think you're absolutely right. We start comparing what we keep telling ourselves all these stories in our head. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, we are the only one who's feeling this way about ourselves. I always tell my clients, why do you think you're that important? Anyone else is thinking about your body as you walk by them. Like, why do you think you are that important? Mm-hmm.
Well, and if we all got to choose, if it was like, okay, do you want to be a really insecure size 6 or a really confident and secure banging size 10? Which one would you rather be? Like when you meet someone and they're maybe thin, but they're really insecure, they don't feel good about themselves, they tear themselves down, they whatever. And then you meet someone who maybe wear a couple size bigger, but they seem really comfortable in their skin.
100%. Mm-hmm. So I always say, we always talk about, you know, and I think we've all either said it or heard it. You'll be at the beach and you see somebody walk past you and someone will say, can you believe she's wearing that? Mm-hmm. And I like to change the conversation to, damn, I wish I had her confidence to wear that. Mm-hmm. Right? Because good for her. And I wish that I had the confidence to flaunt my body, to to partake and do everything I want to do without letting it hold me back.
Yeah. Yeah. So are there any other exercises or anything else that you do to help people who just feel really limited? Like, oh, I would love to date, but I have to lose weight first. Or I would love to take my kids to the pool, but I have to lose weight first.
So I tell people all the time, it is changing your mindset is a lot of work, and it gets pretty raw and it gets pretty ugly when you start working on that mindset piece. But the first thing starts with realizing society. And then the second thing comes with realizing what your heart really wants. Mm-hmm. What do you really want? And after that, I say, you have to really define what you want down to like the finest print. Do you want?
I call it waffling down a problem. If my listeners are used to hearing me, like the little tiny waffle squares, right? So these little bite-sized pieces of problems. Yes.
That's a great term for it. Yes. Uh-huh. You got to really narrow it down. And then it starts with changing that internal dialogue. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And here's one of the biggest misconceptions is everyone thinks you go right from negative into positive, uh-huh. Right? But there's a whole lot of neutral that you got to walk your way through. So before you go from hating yourself to loving yourself, you start being like indifferent about it. Mm-hmm. You have to stand in front of the mirror every single day and pick out something you like. Mm-hmm. You have to stand in front of the mirror every single day and catch yourself as you correct it. Like as you're like looking at that muffin top that's hanging over those jeans, saying, but I birthed 2 healthy children. My legs are a little bit thicker than I'd like, but they get me everywhere I need to go, right? Like we have to start changing the conversation. And even down to the fact that like, I want to go to the pool with my kids, but I want to stay covered up and sit on the lounge chair so no one sees me kind of hang in the back. You might have to say over and over and over again in your head, I'm not important enough. No one is looking at me. And you know how I know that? They're too busy thinking the same damn thing about themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, no one's paying attention. And the people who are paying attention are the most insecure people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's like the Brene Brown, like the Daring Greatly, and it's Teddy Roosevelt's thing. And it's like, it's not the critic who counts. It's the person in the arena. And if somebody's on the sidelines, like, who does she think she is in the pool with her kids? Her poor kids are not having a moment right now, right?
Well, that's exactly it. The people who are judging, the people who are making comments, one are people you don't know, you're never going to see again, and you don't know their name. So why does it matter? Number 2, it is the fact that the person who's making those comments is very insecure. It's the things they are thinking about themselves that is coming out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when I started that journey way back, that was something I had to tell myself over and over again. Like, this is not a me problem. That's a them problem. Mm-hmm. That's a them thing. This has nothing to do with me. And it was hard at first to start realizing that. But the more you really pay attention and like tune in, the more you pick up on the insecurity that's oozing out of that person.
Absolutely. This has been awesome, Tabitha. Any last words of wisdom that you want to add to the body image conversation?
I think just that you are worthy and you deserve to live the life you want to live on every avenue. There's no reason to hold yourself back. And so if it's your body that's holding you back and it's not physical limitations, then the weight's not the problem. It's in your mind and you can overcome it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, tell people where they can find more about you.
They can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tabitha Sweeney Coaching. And they can also find a ton of resources at tabithasweeneycoaching.com.
Awesome. Well, Tabitha, thank you for helping us on our journey to becoming toxic person proof.